press without actually engaging with other players. And I think that's the biggest issue. And obviously, number 3 is cheaters.
Oh my god.
Your AK usage that you guys have been using is overpowered as fuck.
What the f?
I don't think you're gonna be able to PvP anymore, bro.
Everything sounds so bad.
I kind of like it, but it's not Rust.
The recoil within Rust to me is the USP, the unique selling point that Phase Punch and D11 have to offer when it comes to the game. It's the feature that makes a player stand out from the rest. And it also shows the time and effort that said player put into the game itself. But now we're at a point for Rust Console where people want the recoil changed. So let's backtrack here to where we go to Rust on PC. Rust on PC had an incredible competitive scene, and this is perfectly highlighted by the part 1 and 2 by Jack Shepherd on YouTube. You can go watch his videos on that, where it wasn't just down to how good you were controlling the recoil on that weapon, but also surviving to be the best. Survival of the fittest, who could last longer, who raided the most. Those were the standards that people set for people to meet to become the best at the game. But recoil control was the number 1, specifically the AK. This was the weapon where if you could control it, you were a beast, and there were so many players that got falsely banned because of how good their recoil control was. Let's not get it twisted, Rust PC didn't always have the ESP, wall hacks, god mode, flying around no clip. They had a similar device which was called the bloody mouse.
Like nothing seen before. The specter of cheating reared its head yet again. This time it was commercialized in the use of Bloody Mouse, where players quickly discovered the newly added features to this mouse to streamline their accuracy over any weapon's recoil. This quickly took the community by storm, with thousands of purchases of this mice to have that competitive edge. Now to test on the freshly made aim train servers.
That was in fact the equivalent of our on console Cronus Zen. Getting to the point, the console scene is following basically the same path in terms of the competitive scene as PC did. However, PC lasted longer and had the golden times, which will also be longer than the golden time that console will have.
It's OT? Oh, they're ass. What the fuck? Run home with the components, man. I'm done. They're scripting.
Content creators would have 10x the amount of views as they probably do now because people watch them in awe of their skill. For example, I was absolutely in admiration for Wally 1K when he just first started out on YouTube playing with Blueprint. When Blueprint was getting absolutely shat on, Wally 1K was there to pick up the pieces. Tacular, I don't really have to say much else apart from that. Alone in Tokyo, pretty much one of the best, if not the best solo player on Rust. You'd play the game to strive to be as good as these. You'd watch their content to just have a glimpse of what a good player looks like. And then June of 2022 hit. Rust as we knew it changed forever. The recoil change was the biggest update the game has probably ever had, and the most debatable and controversial one, to put it lightly. It had the whole scene of Rust talking about it, whether it affect content creators, whether it affect the skill gap. All of those features are up for debate, and whether you think it positively impacted the game or negatively impacted the game is obviously down to your initiative and your opinion on how you've experienced the game. However, the skill gap pretty much went. The ironic thing about this is that even with the skill gap narrowed down, so basically any noob that would jump on this game would probably have the same recoil control as someone who's played the game for, let's say, 10k hours, players would still choose to cheat, and the cheating is only getting worse within Rust PC. Now, if we move over to Rust Console, the game once had the PC recoil pattern. Some players that I've covered on previous videos, such as AD Rust, could just about control it basically because of how hard it was, since this was a joystick and a thumb rather than a mouse and a wrist controlling the recoil. However, this was changed to basically make it easier and tailored and designed towards an analog stick and your thumb controlling the recoil, which, if everyone played legit, would just be perfect. However, just like PC had with their bloody mouse, we now have the Cronus Zen. And since then, the scripts have ever been more evolving towards to making the player experience on Rust easier and to try and be better than a legit player. And due to what seems as if the lack of action from D11 in banning these cheaters, even with sufficient evidence, and it takes quite a while, considering some people that I've reported in the past have then taken a year for it to be looked at, people are now rightfully asking, when is a new RECOIL going to be put in place? If you're not going to be banning the cheaters, the people that are ruining the game, why can't we have a more level playing field with the RECOIL dumbed down so a legit player can control it and combat those that are cheating, making basically cheating pointless? Now, if hypothetically the RECOIL was changed to make it easier for legit players to combat, to go against these cheaters, cronus then I can see not going out of business literally, but going out of business in terms of it's pointless to use on Rust Console. However, Zim is a different kind of topic to discuss due to that people don't only play on that device to make it easier for them to play the game. However, there's more perks than just aiming in and controlling the RECOIL easier than a controller does. The movement, if you do get used to it, is easier on mouse and keyboard than it is on a controller. I don't really have to talk about this again since I've spoken about this numerous times now. But here's my message to D11 if they were to change the RECOIL for Rust Console. Do not make it the fucking PC RECOIL. If you're going to make a RECOIL that is for console and not PC, make your own. And if it goes right, it will be basically the best marketing move that D11 can make towards this game. If you make one that's somewhat challenging but still able to use for a legit player that you don't have to put hours in, as a new player of course, hours into making this RECOIL down to a dot, it will work perfectly with the player base and basically make legit more appealing to those who are maybe cheating and want to revert back to being a legit player, which I know next to no one that does that. And anyone that thinks, you know, mouse and keyboard is overrated in the sense that is OP, I've seen people mouse and keyboard go to controller and then are like, this, I'm going back to mouse and keyboard. So anyone that tries to, you know, pull the excuse of it's not actually that easy, it's actually kind of hard, I'm not buying it. Don't even bother commenting it. Personally, I'd rather them put more money into actually stopping Zim if they're able to, than them making a new RECOIL. However, I can see them making a new RECOIL a lot faster process than them actually banning cheaters. Now, the only problem with changing the RECOIL for Rust Console is that you're going to come across the similar problem that we have when it comes to old gen and new gen. Now, of course, obviously that's, you know, a huge overreach because you need to make a completely different game for new gen basically. But the core debate is there. You'll lose a player base. You'll lose the player base that basically wants to keep the RECOIL that we have now, whether they are cheating or whether they are legit. You're going to lose a lot of players. However, you're also going to have a lot of players stay due to the new RECOIL, and a lot of players actually come into the game because of their curiosity of trying out the new RECOIL. Now, if it was up to me, I would have a random RECOIL. I would have 3 or 4 different sprays that are within one weapon, and they basically come into effect within different orders, so it doesn't just follow one order, so scripters are able to make a script for that. It'd be nice to just see a variety of sprays within one weapon that are in no particular order, that always randomize. That for me would be cool. But to put it short to you guys, I don't think the RECOIL is going to be changing anytime soon, although question is being raised by a lot of the community, when is it going to be changed? Because if you cannot ban the people that are ruining the game, then you've got to make the game easier for us. And I completely 100% understand that, because if you're going up against someone that is, you know, has a lot of experience on these cheating devices, you are very much at a disadvantage no matter how good you are on a legit controller. It's just how it is. What do you guys think for a new RECOIL to come to Rust Console? Are you for or against this idea? And if you have your own sort of spray that you would like to come to the game, what would it be? Would it be basically the opposite of what we have now, so an S rather than a backwards S? Or would you have something more easier as to what PC has? Leave a comment down below. As always, I'd love to discuss this with you guys and see your thoughts on this matter. Leave a like on the video as it helps out massively. Subscribe as always if you are new around here, and follow my socials in the description. You can join up the Discord, you can talk to me on Twitter, or you can talk to me via TikTok. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.